Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the episode that we are recording on June 2nd, 2020.
Welcome. This is the Bunny Rabbit's Hole, and I need a fucking haircut.
You should riot about that.
Exact. You know what? So we're gonna take tonight's episode. We're gonna skip all the niceties and the intros and shit that we do. It's the Bunny Rabbit's Hole. I'm Jason. He's Craig.
I'm correct. Yep.
We all know this now. So we're just gonna get right in it. And Craig said the magic word right there. It is riot. And we're not talking about the punk band. We're not talking about Quiet Riot. We're not talking about any other fucking riots, but the shit that you're hearing on every goddamn news channel, every goddamn music channel, every goddamn sports channel. Can't get away from it.
So we're not talking about 3 Days Grace and let's start a riot.
Actually, that's what we're talking about today. Today, it is all 3 Days Grace all day long.
Right.
It's the only song I know there, so it's going to be a short podcast.
I know a lot of them. Anyways, yeah. So, we're talking about the riots. We're going to talk about rioting and protesting and all this stuff that is going on today.
Yes.
In our society, in our country.
Yes.
And
now,
yes.
I want to preface this real quick. We're white. I just wanted to point that out because if you're watching this on YouTube, this isn't going to our podcasting. You can fucking see that we're white. And yes, we're going to talk about it.
Yes. And yes, I support Black Lives Matter.
Yes.
And I support justice for George Floyd.
Yes. Yes, I do too.
And it shouldn't just be one cop that lost their job. All 4 cops should lose their jobs.
Yes. Now,
they are accomplices.
Now, I want to point out one thing that I saw earlier today. The cop that's in the federal prison in Minnesota right now, the kneeling cop, the asshole, the killer. He was a white guy. There was also an Asian. There was also a Hispanic. And then there was another guy that I can't honestly tell you what his background was. But it was like a Verizon commercial. It was like a Buffalo Wild Wings commercial. It was like a group. If you watch any commercials now, you can't see a group of friends without having a diversity. And it's weird. I just want to point out that this particular group of killers represented all society.
Yeah.
So you can't. I don't want to get into the whole race, this being a part. And I'm not protecting them. I just wanted to point out that it's funny, not haha funny, peculiar funny, that they weren't just, what you're hearing portrayed on the news is a bunch of white guys killed an unarmed black man. It's like this is more than that. This is a systemic problem with how the African American culture, particularly the men, are actually viewed in our society.
Yeah, I'm a prime example. So we've talked about this before. We usually try to stay off Facebook and a lot of social media because of how toxic it is. But I've been going through and cleaning out people from my Facebook, so I got to see some posts. Somebody shared a post from this black man who I don't know where he lives, and I don't need to know where he lives, but he lives in a suburb, a nice area. But he said that he will go out and he goes for a walk around his neighborhood. He takes his dog and his daughter, because he knows that if he's out with them, people look at him and go, "Oh, look at that cute family walking together." Da da da.
Oh, right.
He's like, but I'm a 6'2", athletic man, black male. So if I go out for a walk without them, I'm seen as a threat. But with them, I'm seen as a cute family.
Right.
So, and I'm also going to throw this out there. It's like I've seen so many good similes, so to say, where people are like, because this all lives matter. Yeah, all lives do matter, but
Yes.
all lives don't matter until Black lives matter. It's like if you're sitting at a table, everybody gets food but Bob, and like, well, Bob deserves food. Well, we all deserve food,
Mm-hmm.
but Bob still doesn't have any food. Or there's three houses, one's on fire, and the guy sprayed his house that's not on fire. It's like, well, your house isn't on fire. He's like, yeah, but all houses matter. But your house is not on fucking fire, you fucking ignorant motherfucker.
Right. I get where you're going with that. I get your point. So we're going to go down this rabbit hole of a lot of negativity, but there was a few really powerful statements I felt that were made over the last couple of days. One in particular, there was a white officer that got separated from his unit, and this is I believe it was Atlanta, and there it was heated. Things are on fire. People are torching cars, beating people up, and a group of 5 or 6 big, African American gentlemen stood in front of the officer and protected him. Now, I thought that was huge.
Yes.
And we were talking the other day about, now, a lot of people don't know, other than the water crisis, you really don't know Flint, Michigan.
Right.
In the 80s was the murder capital of the world. It was right up there with Miami from the cocaine cowboys era. It was after the auto plants shut down, it just became a haven of, desperation, despair, depression, a lot of violence, a lot of, it's Flint needs help. And
Right.
to have the officers in that town go out and march with those people in a peaceful protest was, I mean, we're talking like Gandhi walking down the streets. We're talking like the Beatles coming over to America for the first time. You need to understand how monumental this would be to just put it in relative terms of stereotypes that people understand. It would be like the cops walking with the Crips and the Bloods down Crenshaw Boulevard in Compton, having a peaceful protest. That's kind of what it's like having them do this together in Flint. It was a powerful moment.
And there were, in the town I live in, there were protests, and they would start at one end of town and end up downtown, but they were all escorted by the police.
See, that's cool.
Yep, the police kept them safe. Some people were on Facebook bitching. Well, they blocked. Well, if I would have, people need to go to their job or something like that, and like, the police blocked off the road, asshole. It's no different than when they have a parade go down that road.
Or a funeral procession, it's no different.
And it was for 9 minutes.
Right, yeah.
And you know how many other routes that you can take to get to whatever job you go to?
Right. I might, let this be a lesson to you, motherfucker. Leave 10 minutes earlier tomorrow.
Right.
So
I'm just done with it. I'm done. And Jason and I were talking earlier today too, because I've had a shitty day. Jason's had a pretty shitty day. But part of it is in the air, there is so much negativity, so much aggression, and everything is feeling that. So one little thing blows up because of that.
And so I'm glad that you brought that up, because now people are saying, why George Floyd? I mean, because it was a horrendous, horrible murder witnessed by, on camera. But it just happened to be at a time when the country was a powder keg anyway.
Right.
We already had protests going on because a bunch of privileged motherfuckers didn't want to wear a mask.
Right.
Privileged motherfuckers wanted to sit down in a hair salon. We were having protests about that in the middle of a goddamn pandemic. Okay, right. We're on the verge of a second wave coming through and being just as powerful, if not worse, than the first one that just shut down our goddamn country. So
Right.
everybody's nerves is everybody's on that last thread. Now, so like you said, that tension, that aggression, that just everybody's frustrated. Okay. And what happens when you get frustrated? Everybody's so got this aggression just penned up, and then they see that, and then for what? And it was the straw. Now
Right.
it could have been. Well, you and I talked about the other day. There was the unarmed African American man that was shot in his car because he said he had a concealed carry permit, and they shot him in front of his family because
Right.
he told them there was a gun in the car. Didn't
Right.
show it. They told him. Now, that guy was a family man. You know, if you were going to make a martyr out of somebody like that would have been a perfect candidate. Now,
Right.
George Floyd just happened to be the right victim at the wrong time. He had friends that were NBA players. There were people that, that knew him, even though he did commit a crime or accused. I can't say commit a crime. Innocent until proven guilty. He was, the suspect in a crime. Was it check cashing or something that was stupid? So
Forgery. Check
yeah,
forgery.
check forgery, something stupid. Okay,
Right.
non-violent. Probably on the wrist for most people. But anyway, it's not. I won't say it's not that big a deal because it is a big deal, but it didn't warrant an instant death sentence by Judge Dredd
No.
there,
And
but it just happened to be at the right time where all the shit's in the air and it just exploded. And then from there, people went, yeah, fuck yeah, man, we're pissed. And then they did it in their city. Then they did it in another city.
well, yeah. I mean, let's dive a little bit deeper into that because, all right. So we only saw the video from when he's kneeling on his neck.
Yeah,
I haven't seen previous video.
I did.
But
I did watch the previous video.
okay, so even if he was resisting, there are 4 officers there. All officers, I believe, I could be wrong, carry tasers.
Yeah,
If he's resisting arrest, you tase him.
right.
If he gets back up, you tase him again. You don't kneel on his fucking neck for 9 minutes until he's dead.
Right. Now, I didn't see the video that I saw showed the time that he had cuffs on, and he was up against the wall by the building, and then they were talking to him and doing this, and they were talking to amongst each other, and they started moving him, and he kind of was just kind of lumbering back and forth. He wasn't trying to run. He wasn't pulling back or anything like that. So there was no movements that I witnessed in the early. Now the video was cut out. It didn't show him getting slammed to the ground. It cuts right from them walking him towards the car to the officer having his knee on his neck. So there's a segment there that I didn't see. So I can't speak for that. But in those moments beforehand, and it was like a good 4 or 5 minute segment, there was nothing. There was nothing that no other suspect or even a drunk would have been, they wouldn't have said a drunk was resisting arrest at this point because he was just kind of, he's like, oh, it was more like a snuffleupagus moment. He's like, oh, me bird,
Right.
as he's lumbering along. There was no, I mean, I didn't see anything in the video that stated this man was resisting. He was already in cuffs at this point.
Right.
So if he was already in cuffs and there was a 4 minute segment, then there was a little bit more segment to the point that he was on the ground. What happened beforehand that could have done to get him in cuffs, and then in that segment, he was already in cuffs. How can he resist at that point?
Right.
Excuse me.
I mean, I have seen some people resist while they're in cuffs, but still, it doesn't justify killing them.
No.
And, but I want to swing it over to the positive for a minute. There's nothing positive about this man dying, but the repercussions from him dying, I have noticed certain things, like we talked about with Flint, where the police walked with them, where in like Kansas City, I saw on the news a white policeman hugging a black protester.
Yeah, and then there was another one. There was another group where the police came out of the police station, and kneeled in front of the crowd,
Right.
asking for forgiveness.
Yep. Or like the thing I shared on Facebook where all the white people stood in front of the black protesters.
Yeah, that was I forgot to mention that. I was going to mention that one in the group of cool things.
But there's also other things that are now happening, such as in Atlanta, 6 cops just lost their jobs for what they did to those 2 kids in the car.
So I heard they got fired, but I didn't hear what they did.
So they pulled over this car. There's a young African American male and African American female, and yanked her out of the car. The guy wasn't. I mean, well, they told her to get out of the car. She got out of the car, so they just chased her as soon as she got out of the car. And then he saw that and he refused to get out of the car, so they smashed the window, dragged him out, and beat the shit out of him.
Why would you do that?
I don't know.
See, and this is the now. I'm gonna rewind a couple years. I'm finally hearing people that used to say, "Fucking Colin Kaepernick, what a fucking piece of shit," to finally listening to us. When I say maybe we should have listened to him years ago,
right.
instead of taking out of context and saying, "Oh, he hates our troops."
Right.
It's like, no, these are the things that he was kneeling about. These are the things he was doing a peaceful protest about that made him ultimately lose his job. Now, he lost his job not because he was protesting. He lost his job because the NFL's commercial with the military looked bad. Now, if you don't know about this, the NFL gets paid $5 million a year to play the national anthem before games and have the color guard come out. Now, and then they videotape it, and they use that in recruiting videos. Okay. There's no reason whatsoever to play the national anthem before a football game. There's none. No reason whatsoever. There's no law that says you have to do it. They just do it because. Now, the NFL could have came straight out and said, you know what? From now on, we're going to play Rock and Roll Part 1. No. Hey, no, before every game instead. And you know what? There's nothing anybody could do. They could protest, you could yell, you could scream, but there's no reason that they play the national anthem before a game. Now, the fact that he was kneeling ruined that commercial that the NFL was they're being paid to have this commercial at the beginning of each game.
Right.
If we're Old Glory. Now, what really bothered me back then, and it bothers me now, is we were saying, not me, when I can't say we, people were saying that he was disrespecting the flag, but not at the same time, there's a big ass flag laying horizontal that kids are holding up. And look at little kids are holding the flag up horizontal. That's in the flag code. That's disrespecting a flag. A flag is supposed to be upright and free flowing. It's never to be held horizontal to the ground. So if you're going to bitch about what he was doing, disrespecting the flag, and it's up to that part's up to interpretation. Kneeling, you're supposed to kneel in front of a king. You're supposed to kneel in front of an altar. It's called respect. So if you're kneeling in front of a flag, actually it's a sign of fucking respect, you dipshit. But if you're going to pick your battle, you have to go all the way. You can't say this is okay, but that's not. When they're both considered the same problem.
Right.
If I kill somebody with my car, I kill somebody with a gun, it's still murder. If I kneel on a guy's throat, or if I run him over with my car, it's still murder.
Right. Or, also in the flag code is the flag should not be on a beer can. It should not be on clothing.
Exactly.
None of this. But yeah, let's just ignore all that because we're patriots.
But this is what he was talking about back then. He was talking about brutality of police towards African American men.
Right. And let's get this straight before we go too much farther. The looting and the rioting that's been done are by white supremacist groups that are being shipped into these places. In Minnesota, the people that were arrested were all from out of state and all associated with white supremacist groups. So these people are being flocked in to make these protesters look bad and get people against the protesters. So it's a propaganda ploy.
here in my county, we have a big, well, it's a decent sized mall. You know, the old style mall where you go in there and everything's under one roof. You know, type of thing. Well, the cops got wind uh, of looters. They were going to come to a downtown park and meet, and then run to the mall and trash it. Well, the cops and the SWAT team have they set up a perimeter all the way around the mall, so they can't do it. But the threat was real, and this isn't. Well, there's no huge protests in this part of town. There's across the river over in Portland. Don't get me wrong; they're burning that motherfucker down, and they're looting tailor shops and stupid shit.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. The most of the damage that's being done are people coming in and fucking with the people that started a protest peacefully.
Right. And
then it escalates.
Right. And for all you people that are going to throw out, well, Dr. Martin Luther King had peaceful protest, and you fucking shot him too.
Yes. Exactly.
And then people get pissed off because people bring up the Boston Tea Party. Well, why did the Boston Tea Party happen? Because their voice was not being heard.
Because there were a bunch of white guys that didn't want to pay taxes.
Yeah. But, you know, it was their voice wasn't being heard. So what else could they do? It's the same thing now. I mean, Colin Kaepernick, his voice was not heard. Now look what's happening.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm gonna share my screen here for a second because
okay.
This is the part. I mean, there's some crime going on in this scene. I'm not gonna lie, and it doesn't look good. But if you look at the background, it's pretty damn funny. And here we go. So yes, we have some guys beating the hell out of us out of the screen here, out of the cash register. But you see this dude over here in the mask. The motherfucker's got Legos. It's like I love what this says. I need to know more about the white guy that would challenge both a global pandemic and racial protests to loot Legos. The motherfucker's got a whole shitload of Legos. What is that doing to help anybody?
Helping him.
It's helping him. Fuck, I got something to do during the pandemic now, motherfucker.
Right.
This concludes my day. What the fuck, man?
Yeah, I saw you posted that. But I mean, let's get down to the root of it all. It's something that's been prevalent in this country for centuries, and that is racism. It comes straight down to racism. It's how do you control people? How do you use propaganda to turn people against each other? Like I talked about, the white supremacists come in to make them all look bad. But this is all straight Nazi Germany bullshit. This is right out of Hitler's playbook.
It is. And so just 16 years ago now, we had an event happen in New York City. A couple of big old fucking planes, or a couple of buildings. I ain't even fucking say planes. 3 huge fucking buildings in New York fell. Yes, 3. Go look up Building 7. That was not hit by a plane or anything else. But it was a 47-story building, free fell. But the aftermath of this was one of the most evil documents that's ever happened in American history towards its own people. It's called the Patriot Act. And everybody was, oh my God, yes, we need this. Oh my God, those terrorists. Oh my God. If you look at that fucking book, it's a book. The Patriot Act is huge. It's over 600 pages. In it, it states that they get rid of due process because all they have to use is that one little word that you're so afraid of, terrorist. Now with that, all of you Republicans that are screaming out there that the Democrats want to take your guns, the Republicans already gave them the way to do it. So when this happened, it was disgusting to see everybody so excited that, oh my God, we passed this Patriot Act. We're going to go get them motherfuckers. No, what it did was it gave away so many fucking freedoms. But America, read a goddamn book. You're fucking stupid. Yes, I said that. America, you're fucking dumb. Because we applauded giving away all these rights. And this is what's happening right now. This is the aftermath of that. Is everybody's like, oh my God, yeah, we need to, you know what? I think protesters are stupid. They need to tear gas them and get them away from the White House. No, they don't. If they're we have the right to peacefully assemble. If you're assembling, that's in the fucking Constitution too, motherfucker. I'm not calling Craig a motherfucker. I'm not even calling you a motherfucker. I'm just saying motherfucker like Samuel L. Jackson says motherfucker. Okay? It's just a word. But it is in the goddamn Constitution. And yes, I said goddamn because I don't really believe in all that nonsense of, I'm getting on a high horse here. And what I really want to say is stop allowing your freedoms to be taken away by protecting the people that are taking them from you.
Yes.
Okay. When a man is standing up there and saying, I'm going to make America better, I'm going to make America better, then the first thing he fucking does is allow you to write off your private jet on your taxes. That should have told you something right there. It's like, oops, fuck, I shouldn't have voted that way. Let's get the rest of the motherfuckers out. But no, your response to everything is Trump 2020, Trump 2020. That's what I get when I get into a debate with these people. So I don't do it anymore because they're all fucking stupid. Now there's some smart people out there that have been duped by this, and they're starting to see the light. And I've seen that recently in people that are like, it's like there was a guy the other day it was a YouTube video. He does a lot of economic videos. Okay.
Yeah.
Now I don't normally watch these things because let's face it, I have no money. So why am I going to watch stuff that on how to make your money work for you? It's like I need my money. I need to work for my money. So I can't get my money to work for my money because I haven't got none. But anyway, if I can make my debt work for me, I'll be fucking set.
Right.
But what this guy was saying was he was talking about simple things like Trump was saying if we just cut all ties to China, we'll save $100 billion or $500 billion a year. And the economist is like, that's not how trade deficits work. If you cut off the amount of money or the amount of goods that we're sending over there, and then stop their goods coming over here, we created our society on buying cheap shit from China.
Right.
What do you think the Dollar Tree's about? And everybody that has a birthday party goes to the Dollar Tree. They go to Family Dollar. They go to Dollar General. They go to these places and they buy cheap tablecloths, cheap forks and knives. That's what our economy is based off of.
Yep.
Now, if we were to cut that shit off, then our fucking the plates are going to go through the roof. Tablecloths you won't be able to afford anymore. You'll be able to find linens cheaper than you will plastic ones because we won't be able to get them from China anymore. And then you cut off all the jobs here that manufacture shit that go over there. So I'm going to sum all that shit up. That was a long-winded way of saying stop protecting people that don't know what they're doing. Right. And that's where we got into this situation that we're in today. We had inept people that started the pandemic at the beginning of the pandemic. They shifted the blame all the way through it, and now that we're at this point here, they're not doing anything. We need leadership, and I'm not saying Joe Biden is the answer, but what we need in America is we need fucking smart people. We need our youth to start getting educated. We need them to start thinking that being smart is cool. This whole being dumb jackass mentality, I'm going to make a bunch of money because I fucking fell on my nuts on YouTube. Shit's got to stop.
Yeah.
We need motherfuckers out there, kids getting out there. There's a child that has a potential to create cold fusion in America today. But that motherfucker would rather ride a bike up a hill and fall back down it and get a videotape and become a viral video than he would to actually create that formula for unlimited energy.
I want to go back to
the protest. You can go back to where we started.
No, actually, I want to go back. Well, this kind of will go back to it, but go back to 9/11.
Okay.
Now, when 9/11 happened, I wasn't a fan of him, but what did Bush do? He addressed the nation.
He did.
It wasn't very. I mean, I was never a fan of Bush, but let's be realistic. Bush wasn't the president. Cheney was. He
Exactly.
was just a
And
puppet.
that was my big problem with that thing. It was Cheney was wheeling and dealing behind the scenes. And why else was, I mean, it was a war for profit. Halliburton was at the front of it. He was making shitloads of money off it. You know, so I wasn't a fan of, but you're right. He went up there and he addressed the nation and
Yes.
did what a president would do.
He did what a leader would do. And then now, flash forward to today, what did Trump do? Hid in a bunker, then gassed and shot with rubber bullets, used the National Guard to gas protesters, shoot them with rubber bullets so he could walk across and hold a Bible in front of a church that he doesn't even go to.
Right.
Basically holding a book that he's never even opened in front of a building he's never even gone in.
And I love Joe Biden's response to that. You should open that book. You'd learn something.
Right.
And then the Archbishop of D.C. came out and chastised him for saying, you shouldn't use. I'm going to paraphrase because look up the quote. It's beautiful. It's like don't use religion for political or look it up. I can't fucking do it justice without
political gain.
Trying to see if I can find it real quick.
Yeah, and I mean, like the leading priest at that church, I don't know what they're called, was really pissed that Trump did that too in front of his church or her church. I think it was actually a female.
Yeah.
But like she was, it was to me that was something Hitler would do.
Okay, here we go. It was no, he's a priest. His name is James Martin. And it says, let me be clear, this is revolting. The Bible is not a prop. The church is not a photo op. Religion is not a political tool. God is not your plaything. And okay, so we've talked about it tons of time. You and I, we're not religious.
Right.
But we've also said this, that we understand faith. We have faith in science, and we don't understand the science exactly. So we understand how people can have having faith in something is not a bad thing.
No.
Okay. So we're personally not religious, but it doesn't matter that you are, as long as you don't try to hold that against other people for not being.
Or use it as a weapon or be extremely hypocritical with it. Only be
or use it as a prop or political tool or
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
and it's the same thing right there. That's a great point. Actually, that I think we made without actually trying. It is because of this dickhead kills George with his knee in his throat or in the back of the neck or whatever you call it. He killed him.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that all cops are bad. We've talked about several stories where the cops were asking for forgiveness when they didn't do anything wrong. They went out there and protested with them, peacefully.
Right.
I'm not sure that many of them would have went out there and looted. Maybe depends on the story, I guess. Yeah. But at the same time, not all religious people are assholes. Just because you have the Joel Osteens and the Pat Robertsons and the all these other pieces of shit out there that have used religion as as basically a mind control device.
They use religion as a mind control device and a way to get extremely rich.
Mm-hmm. Yes. There's nothing different. The 700 Club is a cult. I'm sorry. It's just you don't have bunkers. You don't have barracks for these people to sleep in. You make them sleep in their own homes, but you make them send you the mortgage payments.
Right.
Pat Robertson's shit.
I have a bunch of friends that are religious, and I have no problem with them because they're not that whole. It's the holier than thou, but I'm actually a piece of shit. Meant
Yeah.
it's like this. I portray myself as I'm the best person in the world, but hey, why don't you turn around so I can kneel on your fucking neck?
Yeah. You know what? I bet you that dude was probably, he probably attended church with his wife, his
Probably.
ex-wife.
Right.
Cause we mentioned this the other day too, that uh, he, in prison should have a pen palship or you have a long, prison relationship with that lady from New York and who had her dog off leash
Yeah.
and wrongfully called 911.
Yeah. Because a black man asked her to put her dog on a leash in a place where it's supposed to be on a leash.
Yes,
So she said,
because
"I'm
he didn't. He was tired of having the dog scare away all the birds that he's trying to watch.
Right.
What the fuck, and that's part of it. It's systemic.
Yep.
It's
It is.
it's so much bigger than just cops doing it. It's okay. I'm gonna tell a story. You and I we went to the Art Institute of Pittsburgh years ago. This is what it was like 93. We were in Pittsburgh.
That's something like that.
92, 93, 94, something like that. So we're there a long time ago. Now I was driving to work. I had to go. I worked at a gas station in downtown Pittsburgh. It was 24 hours full service station. I had to go down there for something. I don't remember what it was done, but I had to go down there like late at night. And that's what it was. I think I had money because it was a full service station. We had money on us from taking people's money. I think I had to return cash or something. I don't remember what it was. But here I am. I pull up at a stoplight, and I'm 2 blocks away from the gas station. I'm downtown Pittsburgh in the Golden Triangle, if you know Pittsburgh at all. And I'm sitting there, and I look over, and here are, I used to call them iced tea looking motherfuckers, but really they more looked like, now that I think about it, I got older and can reflect on that moment. They look more like Chris Rock from CB4 coming through here. They're wearing dark sunglasses at night. They had the beanies that were, the ski caps that were up. They had starter jackets. They were dressed head to toe in black, combat boots, and they're all come walking by me. And there's 4 of them. 2 go in front of the car and 2 walk behind the car. And here I am. I was 19 or 20 at the time. I think I was only 19 when we lived there.
I think you're 20 because I was 21.
Okay, yeah. I know I wasn't old enough to buy.
No, I had to do all the buying.
Yes, you did. So I actually, because my car didn't have electronic locks, I actually pushed my elbow back and locked the door. And I don't, because I was raised in a cornbread town in mid Michigan. Okay, so and the town I came from, we had a family and a third that were African American. We had, I won't say their name on here so people will look them up, but we had one family that was African American that lived in our town, and then there was another kid that was adopted by some white parents. So that was the African American community in my town. So I locked the door, and then they just walked around me. They didn't even look at the car because it's a red light. They had the crosswalk, it had the little guy in there that said, "Come on over." So they walked, 2 in front, 2 in the back, and they just kept going. They never looked back at me, nothing. Didn't acknowledge that I was even there.
Yeah.
And then I looked around, and because they didn't have electronic locks, I locked the driver's door, but the other 3 were unlocked. and that was almost like a moment of clarity for me. It's like, stop being an asshole.
Right.
It's like, quit. You know what? You probably could have said something to these guys, and you probably would have went and smoked a blunt with them.
Right.
I probably would have got high, probably would have drank some beers with them or something like that. Or you know what? They may have been on their way to work.
Right. Well, see, I guess I was a little bit luckier than you because I had spent some time in the ghetto of Detroit with my roommate, and I was dating an African American girl that lived down in Detroit, so I'd go down there and stay with her. So I was kind of used to it. The stuff didn't bother me because, like, I went to a job interview that was a couple blocks from where we went to school, and I didn't have a bus ride or anything, so I just walked home, and I walked straight through the ghetto. I never even thought about it, just kept going. But there was that crazy white guy in our neighborhood that whenever I saw him walking, I made sure I stopped and made sure he was in front of me.
Oh yeah, yeah. I remember the guy.
I was more worried about that guy than I was walking through the ghetto.
Right.
And I was coming from a job interview, so I was dressed up.
Yeah.
So I mean, but it did. I didn't think twice about it.
And one of the coolest people that I met there was the African American guy and lady that lived next door to us.
Yeah,
they were cool shit. And I was jealous as fuck too, because they'd open up their door. You know, we'd see them coming and going and stuff, and then we'd say hi in the hallway. They'd open up their door, and you look in there, it's like, wow, that looks like a house.
right.
We have like couches and end tables, and then you open up ours, and we got a fucking stereo on the floor. We got a half a love seat. We got a TV on a dresser in the living room. A couple of boxes that you have like towels over them for as end tables. We have a fucking fridge, so the door didn't have hinges. We had this you know, the drying racks for doing dishes. It's got the little slope thing that's underneath the grate. We had to flip that upside down as a wedge underneath our fridge to give it a little bit of tilt so that we could prop the door on it. It wouldn't fall off.
Right. But you know what? We also had the fire escape that was connected to our apartment.
That's true.
And we had the back, and the dumpster was right back there, so we just threw our trash off the balcony into the dumpster.
Yep, from our third floor apartment, we could hit the dumpster.
Yep.
Sometimes.
Yeah, if there was too many beers, we probably missed it.
Yeah. But so, you know, we lived in squalor.
Yep.
But
I mean,
it was a fun. The reason I brought all that up was, you know, at that was a moment where I realized that it's like, you know, be careful when you're out and about. Don't be naive, but don't instantly judge people.
right.
You know, and I always gave people the, you know, the benefit of the doubt, but that was really the first time where I was like, oh, what's going on? You know, and then, you know, I've had knives to my throat, you know, I've had a bunch of shit, you know, throughout my years. And
right.
that moment, I was like the moment that my life actually kind of went in a different direction.
Yeah.
I was no longer the naive kid from Cowtown.
Right. Yeah, and for me, it was like, I guess the time I spent in Detroit just kind of acclimated me to it, so I wasn't really worried about it.
You told me a story about sleeping in your car outside there in Detroit.
No, I was okay. This is gonna sound really bad, but I was waiting on my roommate, who was an African American gentleman who was from Detroit, whose dad was an actual pimp, and he was in a crack house.
Okay.
So I'm sitting in my car, middle of summer, mind you, so it's hot. But he had told me, he's like, keep the doors locked, because he knew the neighborhood really well. And he's like, I'll be back in a few. It's going to take a bit, but I'll be back. He's like, you know, if somebody comes up, don't roll the window down all the way. So I'm like, okay. So I'm sitting in the car, and it's like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And then this tall black guy comes up and knocks on my window. So I roll down the window a little bit. And he's like, it was really weird. I think he was stoned or something, because he's like, I play basketball. I'm like, oh, that's good, man. You enjoy it? He's like, yeah. I'm like, well, good for you. You know, we just had a little conversation for a few minutes. Then he took off, and I sat there for another hour until it was like 4 o'clock in the morning in the ghetto in this giant ass car. And then he comes back, and we go to his dad's place where he picks up drugs that I didn't know about and hid them in my trunk.
Nice.
But I mean, the conversation with the guy that played basketball, I don't know if he was stoned. He was either stoned or a little bit developmentally disabled. Not quite there, because the way he talked reminded me of the group homes I had worked in. But then
Right.
people, when they're drunk, can talk like that too. And like I said, 3 o'clock in the morning, middle of the ghetto.
Yeah, exactly. You
So,
dealing
I
with a guy
mean,
playing basketball at 3 in the morning in the ghetto.
right. But I
But
mean, it's things like that that make you realize we're all fucking people.
yes.
We all gotta live here.
Yeah.
So why
And,
not do it peacefully and just get along? I mean, there's gonna be people you don't like, but it's like Facebook. If you don't like it, fucking scroll past it.
exactly. So there, and here's kind of a point that we're making. In Arizona, there was a whole bunch of people that were protesting a congressman there, and they were screaming at him to learn the language or get out. They're like telling this guy, go back to whatever country you came from. The guy was Native American. The congressman was Native American, and a bunch of white folk were screaming that he needed to go back to where he came from.
Yeah.
You know what? That's when you give him a fucking eviction notice. He gives them an eviction notice and said, "Get the fuck off my land."
Right. Right.
My land. We're taking it back.
Yep. Well, right now nature's taking it back between pandemic, earthquakes, tornadoes, floods,
Huge
killer
typhoon.
hornets,
Huge typhoon.
huge typhoon, killer wasp or hornets or whatever the fuck.
Murder hornets.
Murder hornets. That's it.
No, my wife showed me this meme the other day, and it's Ewan McGregor sitting down with his son. It's from Pooh, which we did an episode on, the Christopher Robin movie. We did an episode breaking that movie down. He's sitting on the thing, and his son's like, "Dad, why are they rioting all the time?" He said, "Well," and it says, "Well, because the coronavirus hoax is coming to an end, and the murder hornets were a bust."
Well, and you know, I'm going to bring us back to the riot because you brought that up.
Okay.
Riots and protests. So, I honestly, one of our last podcasts, I don't know if it's out or when it's coming out, but was on surveillance capitalism.
Mm-hmm.
In that one, I talk about there's almost nowhere on this planet you can go anymore and not be on fucking camera.
Right.
Fuck, people got trail cams out in the woods.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly. Hey, so don't masturbate in the woods. You're gonna get caught.
Oh, anyways, so.
Yeah. So actually, the reason we bring this up is because this isn't an intervention, Craig.
Okay.
Those woods you're masturbating in is actually a public park.
I wonder why all those kids were there.
I wonder why there's a purple hippo over there on a spring.
No, but anyways, so you're always on camera, so bad people, you can only hide it for so long.
Right.
They're gonna expose themselves. But what I'm saying is, if you're thinking, hey, I'm gonna do something that could get me in trouble, that could make me look really bad, or anything like that, or violates, some of my moral structure, chances are you're gonna get recorded doing it. So if you're thinking, hey, maybe this isn't a good idea, it probably fucking isn't.
Listen to Jiminy Cricket, your conscience on your shoulder. Just don't fucking do it.
Right. It's not worth it. I mean, I think we're finally getting to the age where people are starting to become, and unfortunately, people had to die for this to happen, but people are starting to get held accountable.
Yes. And the right people are being held accountable.
Right.
And there's a big distinction, because before, and I know I keep veering towards other things other than the social injustice that's here, but I'm trying to put, everybody understands why we're here, but I'm trying to throw out different scenarios that maybe if you're the one fucking person that doesn't understand why they're rioting, then maybe you would. But what the accountability thing was with, say, like with the before marijuana was legal, it was a small injustice to have a little bit of weed. but the accountability part came in where the guy who was caught with the dime bag is doing 5 years, but the guy caught with a hay bale full of weed gets 30 days.
Right.
You know, they're, even though they wanted to get the distributor is the one with the money, who therefore gets the lawyer, therefore only does a weekend at, at a, work camp.
Right.
So hopefully when all of this, the dust settles, we'll get some leadership in Washington again. We'll get some people that are wanting distinctive change in how things are done. And it's not going to actually, I can't say Washington, it's going to start with city councilmen,
Yes.
city council women, mayors, getting, it's there. That's where it's going to start. And then from there, it's going to work up to your counties, to your governors. And that's where real change happens, because
And it's already starting, because like in Kansas City, the mayor walked with the protesters.
yes. And it's in several cases, including the state of Michigan, the highest paid public employee had walked out and protested. Jim Harbaugh, who is the highest paid public employee in the state of Michigan, being the head football coach at the University of Michigan, was out there walking in protest yesterday.
Good for him.
So it's helping. It's helping now that most of us are on the, it's like, yes, the Black Lives Matter, and it's the assholes that come in. It's like, all lives matter. Well, yeah, all lives do matter, but that's not what we're talking about right now. That's not the issue at the moment.
Right.
Right now, we're trying to get this injustice taken care of. Other injustices like this from being prevented.
Right.
That's where we're at right now.
And let's switch over to the seeing hope. I mean, because the mayor in Kansas walking with protesters is a good segue to that. Like, for instance, today I talked to a friend of mine I haven't spoken to in quite a long time. He lives in Vegas. Really close friend. We're like brothers. And he was, staunch, steadfast, opposed Colin Kaepernick's kneeling to, during the national anthem, whatever.
Uh-huh.
And talking to him today, he said, and it was like you in Pittsburgh at that parking or at that stoplight. He's like, I get it. He's like, I understand now. I'm not mad at Kaepernick anymore. He's like, I understand why he's doing it. Mm. And I feel bad that it took me this long to understand it. And we should all feel bad that it took us this fucking long to understand it.
Right. You know what? That's one of the best things I've heard in a long time. It doesn't matter how long it takes you to realize it, as long as you finally do.
Right.
But we're hoping it's sooner rather than later.
Right. And I mean, we're not going to change it overnight. Things aren't going to change overnight. But you have to take those glimmers of hope and see that, hey, there is hope. We can overcome this. We can all get together. Because I'm seeing people from both sides hopping on the, justice for George Floyd bandwagon.
Oh, yeah.
And that makes me happy, because I'm like, now there's these, Republicans going, hey, now come on. We realize family values was kind of our catchphrase. We didn't really mean it, but come on, let's stop killing people in public.
Yeah.
Let's go back to lynching them in the farm where nobody can see it.
It was Will Smith was attributed to this quote. I don't know if he actually. I'm gonna give him credit for it. They said he said it. So it's like, there's not more racism today. It's just being recorded.
Right.
And it's true, because let's take the woman in the park, the bitch in the park, and we're gonna take this incident, and then there's been several other the jogger, I forgot what his name was.
I can't remember his name.
That was executed by those two fucks. But if all three of those things weren't caught on tape on somebody's cell phone, we wouldn't know about them.
Right.
You know, and you that's we talked about this in our surveillance state episode,
Yeah.
where there's the evil side of the government watching you at everything you do, but on the flip side, you have the opportunity to watch back.
Right. And you know what? With all these people encouraging all this shit, you know what? Go out and hack both parties and put all that information out there. Let everybody see how dirty they all are.
Right?
I probably shouldn't say that. I might be held accountable for that.
Oh well, now okay. So the executive order that he signed a little bit ago about taking away the so Trump signed an executive order a little bit ago against social media companies, making them no longer forums but publishers. Now, why that's huge is a forum allows people to express their opinions, and therefore they're not liable for the opinions of people. Now, but when they're publishers, they can be held to the same accountability as a newspaper. So somebody goes on there and says that Trump's a piece of shit, or Trump's a child molester, or whatever they want to say. Now Twitter, Facebook, and all in TikTok and LinkedIn and Tumblr and all the other media companies out there are now can be sued for that, because they have to monitor what is put out there for fact checking, which is kind of funny because the whole thing started over a lie that he put on there anyway.
Right. He's basically, you gotta love the irony of his ignorance, because he is saying, I'm going to hold you accountable for any lies posted here. Then every one of his tweets, he's got to hold them accountable.
Well, okay, so his thing right now is his okay, so his tweet was labeled as, you should fact check this, because he was talking about the rampant amount of fraud that can happen with mail-in votes. Now, the states of Oregon and Washington have been doing it for well over 20 years. Now, I've lived in the state of Washington for 20 years, and we've been doing mail-in votes the whole time. It comes in a special envelope. It comes in an envelope that's got an envelope that's got a ballot. That's all. You can't go to the store and buy these envelopes. Okay, you have to be pretty fucking good to be able to get to recreate these envelopes.
Right.
So, but anyway, they mail them to you. So anybody who's a registered voter gets an envelope. Then you fill it out, you put it back in, and you mail it. And when we vote, I vote like a week before the presidential election. You don't have to go wait in line at a poll. You don't have to, it's so easy. And they tally all this shit up, and then they release it that night, and voila. Since I've been here, there's been one recount for a governor election, because and anytime you have anytime you lose an election, our Constitution gives the loser the right to ask for a recount.
Right.
And they asked for a recount, and it actually worked out to where the same result came out. And then the former governor seated, like, hey, I lost, cool, congratulations, you're up. And then he realized now that he wouldn't have to deal with a fucking pandemic. So I think he probably is going, whew, dodged
a bullet there.
So,
but yeah, let's go back to the hope thing, because that's not hopeful. So
that's not hopeful.
Well, I mean,
just call me a rainy cloud, okay? Just do it.
But there is so much. I mean, you look out there and you're seeing people that wouldn't normally talk to each other.
Right.
Walking together. Like tonight, I stood out in my driveway had one neighbor come over and was talking to him, while another neighbor walked by walking the dog and chatted with him for a minute too. I can't remember the last time I did that.
You know, I think isolation is actually because, okay, so I work for a school district, and one of the things we've been doing since the pandemic started is the school that I work at has been creating and giving away free lunches every day, Monday through Friday, for any child 0 to 18. And we've been giving away about 300 lunches a day, and all the schools in my district are doing the same thing. So, but just our little school has been giving out 300 lunches a day. We have all these parents come through, and after like the first couple of days, we told them, you no longer have to have your children in the car to get it. Before, the child had to be present, and then second, we said, you know what, you no longer have to have your child in the car. And then it became like this moment of like reprieve, a moment of silence or something, that for like these moms and these dads are getting out of the house without their kids for a couple minutes. I'm gonna go get your guys' lunches,
Right.
and then
They're
after
fighting over it. No, it's my turn. No, it's my turn. Damn it! I'm getting the food.
Exactly. And then through this, there are friendships that I've actually gained from meeting these people. We had this dude to come through, and he's like, "Do you like wine?" I said, "I like alcohol." And so he's like, "Well, cool." So we've been talking. It's like, I used to brew beer. I don't anymore. I just don't, because I don't. But he's like, "Oh yeah, I brew beer and I make wine." And so he brought 4 bottles of wine that he made.
Oh, nice.
Into me. It's like, yeah. So we split those up, and it was cool. So we started. It's almost like a community thing that got created with them coming down each and every day, and then more and more parents would come down. It's like, you guys been doing this whole time? Like, where the fuck have you been? You drive by our sign every goddamn day. It says,
right,
free lunches. Come on in. No.
Right. Okay. Well, and it's kind of the same thing for me at work, because I have regular customers that come in every day. And the majority, I would say 50% of my customers are African American.
Okay.
And I get along with them a lot better than I do half of our white customers.
Yeah.
Because we can just sit there and shoot the shit. And I mean, like, guys, when they come in, like, "Hey man, you being safe?" I'm like, "Yeah, how about you?" And like, "Yeah, we're being safe." I'm like, "Good, man. I worry about you guys out there." And they're like, "Yeah, you're cool," But we have a rapport,
Yeah.
Like, they get mad because I card them. Like, "Dude, black don't crack. I can't tell how old you are."
Right. Maybe if you're a little bit more ashy, I wouldn't ask.
Right. But I mean, well, like, when I card them, like, "Well, then tell me something interesting about yourself, so that way I'll remember you." And one guy and I, we made up we call each other Slick. He's slick and I'm slick. He's like, "Why slick?" I said, "Man, because you're always plotting something." And he just laughed. But I mean, I have a good rapport with these people. I care about these people.
Mm-hmm.
I never knew them before I started working there like 3-4 months ago, because I was over at this store over here for the longest time. But now I have this rapport with them, and we're good.
Yeah, exactly. And it's what I'm hoping comes out of all of this is that at a grassroots thing, we start with new communities.
Yes.
What I mean by that is, like, everybody, like, okay, so it's like the phoenix rising out of the ashes. Minneapolis will rise out of the chaos, and they'll get a new target, and they'll get some new stores around it, and the people will come and they'll rally and they'll shop there as soon when things are opening up, and they'll have some pride in their community. Same with Atlanta, same with Kansas City, same with Detroit, same with Mount Pleasant, same with LA, everywhere.
And it's already started, because I mean, look at all the people that are getting together to clean up these cities right now.
Yes, exactly.
And it's a community, it's a brotherhood, and out of this, I think we're going to be able to. I mean, we're never going to completely get rid of racism. It's always going to be there.
Right.
but I think we're going to diminish it a good deal.
I do think when this is all said and done, after November, I do believe, no matter who's in the White House, I do believe at the local levels, statewide, I do believe that a lot of these places are going to just, doesn't matter what happens in Washington. It's the communities are going to rally around one another and rebuild themselves. And it's going to take time to heal. And it's going to be a slow process of opening up after the pandemic, because fuck, after the let's open up protests, those numbers are starting to come in where the virus is starting to spike. Now all these fucking protests, it's going to go up. So we're probably going to have a closed summer, but hopefully by fall, all the shit will settle down. We'll start opening up again, and we'll come out of it. And okay, this is going to be kind of wrong, but we almost need to be shut down again and have timeout.
Right.
To reflect.
But unfortunately, the being shut down, I think, really blew this stuff up more than it would have.
Right. A shorter shutdown this time, but
right.
We almost need, the country almost needs a timeout.
Yeah, because everybody's been stuck at home, going stir crazy, and now when they get to go outside, they go nuts.
Yeah. Well, if you don't believe that people have gone crazy, there's look at the divorce rate. The record number of divorces have been filed in the U.S.
Really?
Yes.
I'm not surprised, but
and guess what? They're probably gonna have a record number of babies in December too.
Yeah. They're the new baby boomers.
Just what the world needed. That many more Capricorns.
Right. But out of all this, I do see hope. I do see change. I see change coming, and change for the good.
Mm-hmm. And is the first step towards positive change is getting past the selfish take. What I mean by that is everybody that's on the radio, everybody that's on and anybody that's got a soapbox.
Like ours?
Yeah. Has to stop saying, listen to me. Okay? This is what we need to do. I'm this me and this is mine. This is listen to me. I'm talking about this. We gotta stop that. It's no more me. It's all about we.
Right.
And I'm not talking about the Nintendo either.
Right. Well, and the thing is, kind of touching on that. Whoa, lost it. Come back. Hold on. Zoom around. What was I gonna say? Oh, the soapbox stuff. I mean, yeah, we get on here and say, hey, da 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 da, listen to this and this and this, but we also say, hey, but find out for yourself.
Right, and because we're smart guys, but we're not Wile E. Coyote uber geniuses, okay?
No.
So we're
not. I can tie my shoes. That's about it.
Right, and it's like I'm either gonna put the bubble gum in my mouth or I'm gonna tie my shoes. I'm only doing one today, so.
Right.
Half the time I don't tie my shoes, so.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, we're smart enough to know that we don't know everything.
Right.
And that's what we want. We want people to have that same reflection about their own lives.
Yes.
It's like
and the same mentality to realize, hey, what that person is saying makes sense, even though it's not what I believe. So why not listen to them and give them a chance and see what they have to say? Because what would help heal this country is if all of these different ethnicities got together and started teaching each other about their ethnicity.
Right.
Teach us about the culture.
Acceptance and tolerance. Now, when we have to stop doing is saying blanket statements like, oh, well, that Muslim terrorist. Right. Well, you got to stop that. You got to stop associating with a religion with a hate group. Okay. It's not all whites are white supremacists.
Right.
Not all blacks were, in the 60s were Black Panthers. Not, they're not all criminals. It, you can't, yes, I've said it 100 times and I'll say it again right now. Stereotypes are stereotypes for a reason. However, get to know the person before you label them on that stereotype.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
I don't even like cornbread.
right. I mean, look, as Jason pointed out earlier, we are both white, but if you listen to this episode all the way up to this point, you know we're obviously not white supremacists.
Exactly.
I would consider myself an ally to people of all ethnicities and all sexual preferences and stuff like that, because you know what, we're all in this fucking world together. And we all got
There, I'm gonna be blunt. I'm going straight to the point. There is a segment of our culture, of our world, of humans, of all races that I hate, and that is stupid people.
Yeah.
Stupid people that are stupid on purpose.
Yes.
There are stupid people that are, I'm sorry, that just aren't smart, but they have some funny qualities. Those I don't like. I have nothing against that. What I'm talking about is there's a subsection of society that finds being stupid entertaining, funny, and purposeful, but it's not. Okay, I hate that. I hate the idea that somebody would say or they would allow their child to willingly be dumb.
Right.
Is unacceptable to me. We are we're behind the game. And if you've ever, this is going to date us, but I'm going to use the show The West Wing. John Spencer played the Secretary of State in the show The West Wing, and he had this great.
Watched it.
What's that?
I've never watched it.
Okay. So I only watched a few seasons of it, but he had this great quote, and he's like, "I'm 72 years old. I was promised a jetpack. Where the hell is my jetpack?" And that's what I'm talking about. It's like we as a society are allowing ourselves not to go forward, especially Americans. We have the 38th ranked internet in the world. That's unacceptable. That is completely and totally unacceptable. We are supposedly the best nation in the world, according to ourselves. Let's prove it. Let's get our infrastructure where we have bridges that are falling down because they haven't had shit done to them in 50 years.
We've had floods because 30 years ago, people were told they had to fix that dam and they never did it. And so
exactly. Yeah, your neighboring county just went through that.
Yep.
That's bullshit. We have we have listeners that aren't American. You're not from America, but we love everybody, and we do talk a lot about America. So we hope you just listen and have fun laughing at us.
Because we know America and we haven't been to your country, but I'd love to get to know it.
Exactly. We eventually will get there. But
yes.
As soon as the virus is over, we'll come. Just donate.
Right. Help us get there.
Yeah. So, but what I'm saying is, I had a point, and it was
about dumb Americans.
Oh, dumb Americans. Yes. So we're allowing corporations to actually do stupid shit like slow down our internet because they can't keep up with the demand. Now, when Bill Clinton was in office, he did a horrible thing. It has nothing to do with Monica Lewinsky. He did a horrible thing. He gave away the bandwidth that our government owned to the telecommunication industry.
Yeah.
So there's a certain section that he gave to Verizon, AT&T, and the others, and said, "Okay, you guys go deal with it." Now that was fucked up because they were giving us $25 billion a year to rent that from the government, rent that from us. That's our
Right.
money that he just gave to them. Now, in turn, they're charging us service fees for bullshit. Now, I'm not going to go on that soapbox, but what I'm saying is, we here in America need to get back to real fucking values. And I'm not talking about sitting down and eating family with your dinner. I'm not talking about, reading the Bible. I'm not talking about any of that bullshit. What I'm talking about.
You said, I'm not talking about eating family with your dinner.
Did I really?
Yes.
It's a game the whole family could play.
Right.
But where I'm going with this is, we need, as our values is like, fuck this. We don't need the 38th internet in the world. We need the first internet in the world. Okay, we don't need bridges that are gonna fucking fall down if I drive over them, or if I have to go 50 miles out of my way just to make it over there. Or we won't. Here in Portland, since I moved out here, we have a drawbridge on a fucking interstate, an I-5. There's a goddamn bridge that lifts so fucking boats can come over, and it stops traffic on a goddamn interstate. That should not be happening. And they're all bitching about costs. The government should say, there's your $3 billion, build a goddamn bridge, shut the fuck up.
Right.
I mean, it's stupid shit like that. And how do you get out of this recession that we're about to do? We need to do the same thing that they did after the Depression. They actually started a whole shitload of public service projects like the Hoover Dam, like the interstate road system. That's what we need to do to pull ourselves out of this. But will we do that? No.
Well, and it kind of goes down to this, because we joked about it, socialism and stimulus checks. Oh, those people hate socialism, blah blah blah. But there's also the people that are like, those people don't need the money, da 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 da. Well, they're bitching because the economy is going to shit, but the people that are getting the stimulus checks are the people that put the money into the economy.
Right.
They're the ones that go out and spend money and buy things. Yes. Rich people, they're not rich because they're going out and spending $1 million a day.
Right.
They're keeping their fucking money. They get half their shit for free.
Exactly. And the other half they get to write off.
Right. So I'm like, these are the people that should be. You shouldn't be sending millions of dollars to corporations. You send it to their customers, because then it's going to go back into those corporations.
Right. Now, they just vetoed the Student Loan Forgiveness Act, which is ridiculous because it costs less than the tax break that he gave the wealthy every single year he's been in office.
Yeah.
The tax break he's given them, and when I say tax break, what I mean is revenue not collected. Okay, it's not because I've had this argument with people. It's like, well, they deserve these tax breaks because this is revenue that should be collected. That's not. They're like, we're just not going to collect for it. Right. So $1.9 trillion in uncollected tax income from the 1% of the United States every single year that Trump's been in office. Every year, actually, it even goes back into Obama, goes back into the first Trump. If that money was actually, and this is what Bernie was actually yelling about, if we would have collected that money, it more than would have paid the $1.7 trillion for one time to wipe out all student loan debt.
Right. And I will translate for Jason. He meant the first Bush, not the first Trump.
Oh, yeah.
After he got done eating the family.
Brought to you by Pub Beer.
Yeah. So, back on the hope train. Our country's going to get, because, as we know, like energy attracts like energy.
Yes. Like attracts.
So, we are going to end this knowing our country is going to recover from this, and it's going to be stronger, and it's going to be better.
We are America. We've dealt with more.
Fuck yeah! Sorry, Team America.
Fuck yeah! suck my ass and lick on my balls. Sorry.
But yeah, so I mean, like, we're Americans, you know, we should be proud of our country. We should love our country. Over the last few years, a lot of things have happened in our country that made a lot of Americans no longer be proud of their country or love their
Right.
country. They're ashamed of it. And we all have to live here together. So we need to figure out a way. And I believe we will. I believe somebody's going to, because there's a lot of intelligent people out there. Somebody's going to come up with an idea that's going to bring everybody together. And I'm not talking about a fucking war or anything like that. I'm talking about positive and
Right.
positive. You know, it's going to bring us all together. Okay, maybe an alien invasion and the whole globe gets together. But, you know, something's going to happen. Something's going to bring us all together. And we're all going to realize, hey, you know, those are some cool motherfuckers. Those are some cool motherfuckers. Man, I wish I would have gave a chance before. I love these people.
Right.
We're all just going to fucking love each other. And we're going to just carrying on.
It's gonna be a kumbaya, and you know what? It's like, oh, I think a lot of friendships
Yes.
are gonna develop over this, and it's gonna be a good thing.
Yes. And we're going to learn how to respect each other again and, you know, learn the boundaries, which, you know, let's be realistic, before the pandemic hit, people were forgetting what boundaries were.
Very much so. The last couple years,
Yep. But, you know, we're going to start, but you learn those boundaries because you learn to respect people. And that's what's going to come out of this is, hey, you know what? I know you've been through hard times. I now understand what my white privilege has done for me.
Mm-hmm.
I now understand what you're going through. I've seen it. I haven't experienced it, but I have seen it. Or some of these people, like, I saw some pictures of a white girl who was all shot up with rubber bullets.
Yeah.
You know, for being out protesting. You know, they've been there. They've seen it. You know, so now we understand a little bit better, and hopefully we can use that understanding to heal that divide and bring us all together like we should be. And, you know, with that being said, I'm just going to say, peace out, love you.